So this time we really wanted to do a deep dive on some of our favorite topics.
So obviously I picked the increased pace of change and agile.
And I picked data.
So what can you tell me about how we can monetize our data?
Well, that's an interesting question actually. There's different ways that I think we can kind of start to monetize our data. So there's either the way that we use our data to drive customer behavior. So if customers are on the web, we're tracking what they're doing. If we find that they're constantly in looking at life policies or looking at what the projections might be from a pension point of view, we can drive next best action, which is a form of monetizing the data to get them to either contribute more or buy a policy, etc., might fit their purpose. That's another one way for us to monetize the data. Another way potentially for us to monetize our data is how do we make our data available potentially to external parties, allow people to connect to us, be able to affiliate with us and leverage our data, and again, but with our customers' consent to be able to achieve that.
The quality of the data is really important for the testing, but also ultimately when we have good test data and we understand the customer, we can deliver a better experience for the customer.
So the design system, it really kind of stipulated from previous conversations with consolidation of all these different digital products enterprise-wide. We're trying to consolidate what the experience looked like across all. And we really wanted to kind of to brand ourselves in a way that made sense across all these products. So you didn't get a different look and feel across those. So we decided to do we've got the ability to build a team here locally to Denver that's just all co-located, small agile team. We've got I think 6-7 people on the team. Plus a scrum master, and that's the whole team. Okay. Everyone's here in Denver, and what we decided to do is build out kind of an architecture with a design system that made something really easy to distribute to any platform, regardless of how it's written.
So this is everything I put down for data. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, these are very important points. I do see them. So I wanted to put a consolidated, all of them together, right? And call that something like an ecosystem. So every time we start the conversation, all of these concepts that we talked about, anywhere from consolidating the data to one point, providing APIs on top of it, making sure we have proper integrations with other systems and transaction systems. Start with the ecosystem as the buzzword, so people try to consume that message, and mindset will be okay. The ecosystem contains all these patterns. Which one do we fit in and start integrating?
So many data science and big data projects fail to deliver any meaningful results. What do you think some of those challenges are?
The technologies have matured, especially in the last year and this year, and cloud is definitely helping in realizing, the value that we expect from a big data ecosystem.
Right.
So earlier patterns was, you build your ecosystem, then you depend on, for example, a map reduce or some legacy code base which is difficult to write, right, and then to run, and then realize what's coming out of it and going in the loop, and also the infrastructure that are associated with it was difficult. But the patterns have changed and evolved over in the last couple of years. I think the success is more weight than the failures today. So definitely mindset is one of the important things, right? I mean, like I said in my prior experience, making that first move and changing that mindset from the technology team, saying, okay, this is our future, this is how we're going to evolve, this is how we're going to realize, and the value of data, for example, and making an impact on that aspect. Mindset is the keyword that I strongly believe in, and I think we are at we're definitely in that forefront of change. Right? I think people already understand the way forward, and the mindset has shifted.
In our case in Transamerica, we're focused on 2 tracks, and we're really focused on the management track, but we equally focused on the technology track. So a principal, a top tech, but how do you differentiate yourself in the technology track? Certifications. So you can be TOGAF certified in architecture, you can be ITIL certified for service management, you can be Salesforce certified for that capability, you can be cloud certified at AWS or Azure. So I think this notion, what I want to bring back to our organization is, if you want to follow a tech track, that's cool, but certify yourself. It helps it improves your brand, it improves your capability, and improves your marketability.
And it also helps you, you're the only owner of your career,
Right,
right?
right.
What would be the key message that you want everyone to really understand?
I think first and foremost, every person plays a role in information security.
Yeah.
We have to make sure they understand what that role is.
Yeah.
If you don't understand, ask.
Yeah,
Let's
and
make
so-
sure we figure that out.
Yeah.
But then we also need to make sure we're aware. We use things like phishing campaigns where we send out emails to say, is this malicious link or not? That's one very simple way, but it's not specific to what you do. Think about security and the role in which you actually play and how to enable that. That's the biggest thing. If we
Yeah.
can tackle that, I think we'll be in a much better state. There's lots of work that we have to do to implement technologies and capabilities to change business process, but if the innate person can understand their role and can start to think differently, we will actually be able to be more secure, regardless of the technology.
Can you touch on a little more of how Agile really breaks up a big monolithic project, and also how that really helps the customer get what they want?
Absolutely. One of the core precepts of agility is the shortest possible feedback loop that you can achieve, right? So there are a few things that we leverage with that. The first is a vertical thin slice that we can establish a layer of functionality or a end-to-end piece of an experience, and then get that in front of our product owners or our business owners or even our customers and say, what do you think of this? And are we on the right track? And if we're on the wrong track completely, we've thrown away 2 weeks rather than 6 months, right? By having this large framed requirements document that took 18 people to sign off on and say this is it, and then they go through 6 months of development, and then when it gets to test, someone says this doesn't look right, and then we have to circle all the way back to the beginning, right? So I'd rather throw away 2 weeks of work and get it right and be able to pivot. More often than not, a small degree of change, rather than be at this further point down the road and have to make a large degree of change, which oftentimes has architectural considerations, which really resets the project.
Right.
What do you think we can learn, even if we don't adopt everything? What can we learn on these kind of things?
Well, first and foremost, I would say Agile is not just for software. I've used Agile and some primary practices from Scrum to build a house. You can
Like
apply this
literally.
to literally
Yeah.
build a house.
Yeah.
And we built it in 2 days. And so we can learn a lot from this, how we apply it to any sort of work management, right? The high level of collaboration is needed in every workspace, and the concept of a daily stand-up, run well, and if the team understands and leverages it to its true potential, can absolutely help every team.
Yeah.
And other things like making your work visible, making your process known, helping have those frequent touch points with your customers so that you understand whether or not you're on the right track for delivering the right thing. These are things that you can apply to almost anything.
There is a very, very high pace of change. So there's change. 2018 has been a very change-heavy year, and there's nothing indicating 2019 will be any less. And how are we keeping people along on that journey?
I think having a program that lasts 12 months or more is, very rarely do you see success in a big bang kind of program. You always learn things along the way that you course correct. So one of the things we're trying to do is drive quarterly planning cycles, so that every quarter a collection of teams, ideally they're dedicated teams, we're moving towards that model. But those teams can plan together and understand sort of shared objectives, priority, architecture, and understand the dependencies between those teams, so that they know that what they're doing impacts other teams.
Yes. This is what we came up with after all the discussions that we had here. Any thoughts?
Well, first, it was great spending time with both of you.
Thank you.
It was a real pleasure. No, I think this really kind of says it all. You've captured the view of the customer. You've captured the speed of change. Really, we're all about data, but more so importantly, it's about leadership and teams, which is a lot of what we've captured. So I really had a great time meeting with both of you.
Yeah, likewise.
So we're enjoying our final views of Denver, where we learned a lot about data, a lot about the increasing pace of change and agility. But next up is Budapest.